ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयामदेवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः सुष्ठुभागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्तिः 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 ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 मनोभिर्विविधं प्रोक्तं शुद्धं च अशुद्धमेव च अशुद्धं कामसङ्कल्पं शुद्धं कामविवर्जितं मन एव मनुष्याणां कारणं बन्धमोक्षयोः बन्धाय विषयासक्तं मुक्तं निर्विषयं स्मृतम् यतो निर्विषयस्यास्य मनसो मुक्तिरिष्यते अतो निर्विषयं नित्यं मनः कार्यं मुमुक्षुणा निरस्तविषया सङ्गं सन्निरुद्धं मनोहृदि यदा यात्यात्मनो भावं तदा तत्परमं पदं तावदेव निरोद्धव्यं यावद्धृदि गतं क्षयम् एतज्ज्ञानं च ज्ञानं च शेषो न्यायश्च विस्तरः नैव चिन्त्यं न चाचिन्त्यम् अचिन्त्यं चिन्त्यमेव च पक्षपातविनिर्मुक्तं ब्रह्म सम्पद्यते तदा स्वरेण सन्धयेत् योगम् अस्वरं भावयेत् परम् अस्वरेणानुभावेन भावो नाभावयिष्यते तदेव निष्कलं ब्रह्म निर्विकल्पं निरन्तरम् तद्ब्रह्माहमिति. Then may correct that mistake. That's why there is a mistake there. तद्ब्रह्माहमिति ज्ञात्वा तद्ब्रह्माहमिति ज्ञात्वा ब्रह्म सम्पद्यते तदा. No, Dhruvam, yes. Tada was gone earlier. Next one. Nirvikalpamanantam cha hetu drishtanta-varjitam aprameyamanadim cha yagyatva uchyate buddha na nirodho na chotpattihi. Again. Na nirodho na chotpattihi na baddho na cha sadhakah. Slow it down. Na nirodho na chotpattihi na baddho na cha sadhakah. Na nirodho na chotpattihi na baddho na cha sadhakah. Na mukshurna vai muktah ityesha paramarthata eka evatma mantavyah jagrat swapna sushuptishu stanatraya vyatitasya punarjanma na vidyate. भूते व्यवस्थितः
एकथा बहुधा चैव दृश्यते जलचन्द्रवत्.
Very good. घटसंवृतमाकाशम् नीयमाने घटे यथा घटो नीयेत नाकाशम्
तथा जीवो नपोपमः.
घटवद्विविधाकारम्
वेद्यमानं पुनः पुनः
तद्भग्नं न च जानाति स जानाति च नित्यशः मायावृतो नैव तमसा याति पुष्करे भिन्ने तमसि चैकत्वम् एक एवानुपश्यति शब्दाक्षरं परं ब्रह्म तस्मिन् क्षीणे यदक्षरं तद्विद्वानक्षरं ध्यायेत् यदीच्छेत् शान्तिमात्मनः. Next one also. द्वे विद्ये वेदितव्ये तु शब्दब्रह्म परं च यत् शब्दब्रह्मणि निष्णातः param brahmadhigacchati. Yeah, so this is on two levels we are seeing this. One on the level of the impossibility of gaining this knowledge without understanding Ishvara, without, as we said, settling accounts with Ishvara. Yesterday one question came, what is it to settle accounts? Of this morning sometime, what is it to settle accounts? Settle accounts meaning understanding that all that is here, that one doesn't like and that one cannot change, is infallible. That is what settling accounts is. It's infallible. It just is, and it is here, and this is what needs to happen. And what needs to happen is I stop fighting it. I stop fighting it constantly, because the whole life goes fighting, how much to fight? So it is coming to a place of resting where one stops blaming others or blaming oneself and instead blames Ishvara, in the beginning. And in the beginning. But that's just a phase. And since Ishvara doesn't participate, you have a transference, and the transference of all the negative emotions starting with anger and resentment is directed towards Bhagavan, and that transference, there is no counter transference. Carl Jung talked about these two concepts very well. First there is transference, there is a atasmin tad buddhi, in another person. You see the person as the source of your pain and sorrow when the person is not. What do you mean they are not? Then who is the cause of my own sorrow? Karma, you can say. You don't have to blame yourself. What is this? The sorrow is, of course, an option, really. With the knowledge, the sorrow may come and go, but one to identify with it is an option. In the beginning it feels like it's not an option, it's happening. But later on, as one gets more clarity and more assimilated, the knowledge gets more assimilated, then this understanding comes that identifying with dukkha is an option. This is something we have to absolutely, without a doubt, understand. Identifying with dukkha is an option. And so, therefore, what happens is that there is a big process here going on, in the sense that the regular person doesn't understand this and puts the cause of dukkha as something outside. This is what is happening, something outside is happening, and so somebody is doing this to me. And sometimes what do? You go and tell that person also. Because of you I am like this. And then what does do you think the other person is going to keep quiet if you say that? Every married couple knows this. The other person is not going to keep quiet. That person will also retaliate. You know? What will they say? What do you mean because of me? It's your own issue. And then the other person says, what do you mean my issue? I never had this issue before I married you. And so on it goes. So this is what the first person has put is called transference, and then the other person in that close relationships practices what is called counter transference. Means fights back because their own issues are raised up, you know. Their own issues are raised up, you know, like an alley cat. You scare the alley cat and it tries to make itself 4 times as big and walk sideways, you know, so that nobody sees that it's really tiny. And this small 8-pound thing tries to look as though it is, you know, 50 pounds, and it raises the hair and all these things. So this is a defensive mechanism, you know. But here, when this anger and this pain is directed against Bhagavan, like in the Shri Rudram, which was the chant which little pieces that I chanted yesterday. So when this anger is directed against Bhagavan, Bhagavan doesn't say, what do you mean, don't blame me for your karma. Bhagavan doesn't fight back. Bhagavan smiles. Theek hai, no problem. In fact, even though you are cursing me, I'll give you punya because at least you came and you're trying. You're trying to resolve this. You see? So it's a win-win situation. So without this, you can, kiss Vedanta goodbye. Give it a nice wave, and you can kiss Vedanta goodbye, because when that burden of that charge of that emotional pain will be a very big deterrent. And we also saw this in the previous things, Nayati Pushkare. And if whether Pushkara is taken as the space where the pot space doesn't know it is space, or Pushkara is taken as the rare lotus, and the rare lotus is rare because this one will not open even in the presence of the sun. That's why it is rare, not because it is blue. Why? Because it has a personal fog of despair surrounding it, and it will not allow the sunlight to come in. So either way, or you can think of the jiva as the bee and the lotus as the nectar, amrita. And in any case, the bee also is confused by this, fog of tamas and shabda maya, all kinds of wrong notions, and therefore it doesn't reach. So the settling accounts with Ishvara, whether it is done in the meditative state or as a prayer in the waking state, kaikam karma, manasam karma, any, vachikam karma, doesn't matter, it has to be done. Here, the message is being given from the standpoint of the meditation. Dve vidye, 2 kinds of meditative practices to settle the mind and to make it free of these ragadveshas and these hold, where all these fears and long-standing emotions have taken a hold and have become patterns. To get oneself released from patterns, these are the 2 kinds of, knowledge of meditation, vidya of meditation given. And what is the first one? Shabda Brahmani. So, you take recourse to Om. Here, Om is not a Uma, which was what? Waker, sleeper, all that. Don't go there yet. For creation, creator, Brahmaji. U for Vishnu. And Ma for Maheshwara. So think of it as Sagunam Brahma. Omkara is both Saguna and Nirguna. That's why it is a very effective alambana. Think of it as Sagunam Brahma. Think of it as Ishvara. Think of chanting Om as Ishvara's name. And then when it resolves, when what resolves? When you resolve. Okay, yeah. When the Ahankara resolves. Kshine Ahankare. When the Ahankara resolves, what happens? What happens is that Om transfers into, slides very effortlessly into waker, sleeper, dreamer, and the whole waking world, and also the silence afterwards, which shows a shabda, aswara, and that aswara is what? Just you, just Ishvara without the creation. So that is too, difficult right from the beginning. Ishvara Vidyan without creation, where to go? Better stay with the creation and don't go off into flights of fancy. And therefore it says in the second line, Shabda Brahmani Nishnatah, for one who is adept, who has become an expert on Ishvara. How do you become an expert on Ishvara? Do you write a thesis? No, you Ishvarize your emotions, you Ishvarize your past, you Ishvarize your present, and you Ishvarize your future, you Ishvarize the in-laws, you Ishvarize the outlaws, and you Ishvarize everything that is a source of pain. You see it in the light of that which is inevitable and which is infallible, and you grow into being a person of acceptance rather than always offensive and defensive. So that is what it takes. And then, seeing yourself as Ishvara is just a small little slide. Just like from the chant, you just slide off into no chant like this, that symbolizes the efficacious, transition. It's almost like a non-transition, from creator to Ishvara. I am that consciousness. So you can't bypass that. You can't just say, since I'm going to consciousness, why should I have Ishvara? Because you can't go, quote unquote, go to consciousness because you're already consciousness. But why don't I know that? Because there is unconsciousness coming in the way. Deal with that, okay? Yeah, so that is basically, I hope that was, I hope that was that was clear. Tadvat, there is a verse 13. Remind me later, because that means you have to go back 4 verses. Remind me later after the class. I will deal with that. Probably there's a typo. Okay. Yeah. So we'll just go forward now. You remind me when we have a 5-minute break. Okay. Yeah. Now next one. Next one is very nice. Granthamabhyasya medhavi Jnana vijnana tatparaha Palalamiva dhanyarthi Tyajet granthamasheshatah. This Upanishad is wonderful. It's just for verses like this we have been waiting. So nice, yeah. So here there is a injunction. Injunction means what? A mandate. Mandate. Like a Vedic mandate, because this is the Veda after all that we are studying. So what is the mandate here? The mandate is Grantham Abhyasya, having studied the manuscript. Which is the manuscript? Amrtabindu. Then what? Give it to the goat to eat. Yeah, recycle it. Because in olden days the manuscript was written on palm leaves, right? Yeah. And sometimes, we find that there are missing sheets and pages in between, like in Brahma Sutra Bhashya, and sometimes it, not Adi Shankara's, but some other Bhashyas have been well assimilated by goats. Yeah. Ajabhakshitam. So here, that time there is a cause for crying because such a nice grantha got destroyed by the goat. And, and we are saying what a loss for Sanskrit literature that this got eaten by the goat. But here, this is brazenly saying this verse here, that after Grantham Abhyasya, find one goat. No, that's not what it's saying, but it's similar. Medhavi, the one who has medha. Yeah. The one who wields that intelligence. I mean, it's not enough to have it. Here it's the wielder who has used that intelligence properly. It's not just enough to have medha. Everybody has medha. But are you using it? That is the question. Yeah, I'm using it. I'm planning a bank robbery. I'm using medha because do you know how difficult it is? All those, what is it called? Those red color beams that burn you, those laser beams. Laser beams. So I have to have cat suit, and then I have to go like that inside and outside, and first I have to memorize where it is. All these things I have to do. Do you think it's easy? That requires a lot of medha. That is not medha. That's why in another this thing, in the Taittiriya Upanishad, there is one shloka. It says, Sumedha, Sumedha Amritaha. So Sumedha means the proper usage of medha is to study, is something like this, to study this knowledge, to reach out to help others. Those are all, proper usage of medha. Rather than trying to, what is that? Be some kind of cat burglar. That's not medha, usage of medha. So here, medha, the one who wields medha properly, meaning a student of this Shastra, a Vedanta student is here called Medhavi. A sadhaka of the Shastra is called Medhavi. And then Grantham Abhyasya, having studied well, having studied and assimilated properly the Shastra, Grantham Abhyasya Medhavi, Tyajet Asheshatah. Not even one page you keep, everything you feed to the goat. Oh, can I eat one page? Yes, fine. But the rest of it, you feed, you recycle this Upanishad immediately. What? This is so contrary to everything that we have studied so far. Because don't you say that, kalam nayet nirantaram, don't you say that you have to keep, studying, till the body drops away. Keep studying, keep doing. And even in the Kaupina Panchakam, ode to the owners of only the loincloth, the Yati Panchakam also it is called, better name for it because you don't have to explain all these things. And in the Yati Panchakam, Vedanta Vakyeshu Sada Ramantaha, the one who are constantly reminiscing and delighting and reveling in the views and sentences of the Vedanta. How will they do this revelry if you have fed to the goat? Whatever you have studied has gone to the goat. The idea is just like the goat has assimilated it, you have also assimilated it. You have also assimilated it. Because that knowledge is not separate from you. Oh, but it is separate, it's in a book. This is me. Book is what? Object. I am what? Subject. So that difference, makes one, see this as an object. And of course, the mind is extremely clever. Anything it sees as an object, it will immediately objectify. It will objectify the book, the cover and the pages, and it will objectify the words. And then what happens? It's a waste of the teacher's teaching. The person has gone into academia. That's what has happened. The person starts to count the words. What a useless thing, really. Person starts to word counting, how many times this occurred, what happened. There is an inconsistency in this Upanishad. Is this Upanishad a later Upanishad or is it an early Upanishad? And did this Upanishad lift the passage from Mandukya or did Mandukya lift the passage from this? Now there is a big debate. Who cares? Who is interested in that? No, what do you mean who is interested in that? There's a whole conference on that topic. Who organized it? Me. Yes. Me, I organized it. You organized it? Shubhamastu. That's all you have to say. Be well. That's all. Take care and be well, because what else to talk to this? Such a person is beyond any kind of discussion. So I have organized a conference on whether this is right or that is. This is Pakshapata. And what did it say about Pakshapata? The same Upanishad. What did she say just a few things earlier? Pakshapata vinirmuktam brahma sampadyate tada. Pakshapata vinirmuktam. This is Pakshapata. So you don't do Paksha. You just do bhakshanam of you just assimilate the knowledge. The knowledge is not the book. This is what the whole idea is, and that is already given. And it's very interesting that after that dve vidye veditavye, this one comes, because even in the Mundaka Upanishad the same thing happens. Dve vidye veditavye, two kinds of knowledges have to be known. The student is told by the teacher, Angiras. Two kinds, and there vidya doesn't mean meditation, it means knowledge. Two kinds of knowledges have to be understood. Yes sir, what are they? Para and apara. What is para? What is apara? Never mind para. What is apara? Apara is everything starting with Rig Veda. Student has a small, that lup, dup, only goes lup, and then that dup is missed and another lup, and one missed heartbeat. Oh, Rig Veda, oh, Yajurveda, oh, I belong to the Yajurveda, how can this be? Samaveda, Atharva Veda, oh, what happened? Shiksha, Kalpa, Vyakarna. Vyakarna, kya karna, and Niruktam, and Chandas, all the, Upavedas, all the Vedangas, 6, limbs of the Vedas, Upavedas, baby Vedas like Ayurveda, etc. Yoga and Nakshatra Vidya, Shastra Vidya, all this is what? Apara Vidya. What to do? But this Upanishad also comes in the Veda, correct? Yes. So then if that is also cast away, how am I going to be freed? Alright, what is para? Para is yaya shabda vritya, yaya aksharam adhigamyate, and here we saw aksharam. That aksharam, there was a pun two verses ago. Very clever this Upanishad is. And that aksharam is what? That aksharam is you. Yaya, by which buddhi vritya, by which thought frame, that rises in the mind, not by the mind, in the mind. The mind is not an agent of this. The mind is simply a location where that thought is recognized. And so that thought is in response to the teaching, and the teaching is you are that which is without a second, and you are that subject which needs no introduction, and you are that whatever you thought you are not. And all the wrong notions are removed. And so then what happens? Then one understands that I am the whole, and this understanding is not reading from a book. This is the understanding that happens to the person who is already self-evident. Are you existent or not? Good. Then you qualify for Vedanta. If you said yes, if you didn't say yes, no comment. Because for those who are non-existent, what kind of Vedanta can be there? The non-existent doesn't need Vedanta because it has no complexes. No existence, no complex. Easy, finished, simple. Only the existent person, then even a rock is existent. Why does the rock not need Vedanta? Why does it, the rock doesn't need Vedanta because the rock doesn't complain like you do. That's why. Rock has no complaints. Rock is happy being a rock. You ask the question, why don't I rock? That is why Vedanta is needed. Yeah. Why don't I rock? You have the question, and that's why you need Vedanta, because you have a ton of complexes that come along with the person into the classroom. So, because of this, to remove the complexes, and then when that buddhi vritti, when that teaching which is internalized by you is directed, is the light of this shastra directed as at those complexes, a miracle takes place. What happens? The complexes, like bugs, when you in the dark, you come to the empty house and you turn on the light and all kinds of cockroaches, spiders, etc., geckos, they run and hide. Like these, all of them, they go away. All the complex is gone. And then what? Then you shine. That is what it is called. Yaya aksharam adhigamyate. But the bugs come back. Complexes don't come back. Only up till then the example. Complexes don't come back. Why? Because the promise of the Upanishad, the word Upanishad says that avasadayati, unmulayati. All these complexes are, uprooted. So therefore they don't come back. Why? Because there is no more a placeholder for them is not there. Before I was, keeping a cushion ready and lighting a lamp, waiting for the complexes to come and sit. I was identifying as that complex-filled person. Now I am identifying as myself. So there is no room for the complexes. And then, in fact, the complex tries to come in and breaks the door down, and then it reads the sign, no room for complexes. And it says, oh, okay, I'll go to the next head. That's what. That's what it does. So therefore, even though the book or the book becomes a way of, way of reaching the knowledge, the book is not the knowledge. The book is an object. The words are Shabda Rashi, heaps. Heap of inert things. And how can that which is inert understand or awaken the understanding of that which is, what is the opposite of inert?
Sentient.
Sentient. Don't say earth. So, how can the inert, this is just like the other question we had, very good questions, all of them. How can the finite teach us about the infinite? How can the inert book and some words in the book help us assimilate that which is infinite? For both the same answer, because the infinite is you, because the sentient is you, because you don't need a flashlight to know that you are here. You are self-evident, self-luminous, self-lit. You simply are, and you know you are. When you say I am here, you are saying I know I am, and on that rests the whole Vedanta Shastra. So the book is even, ultimately, the words are just words. They are objects. Oh, so the Upanishad is mithya? Yes, but ignorance is also mithya. How can Upanishad be mithya? Because ignorance is mithya. Just like, food is mithya, yes. Oh, but mithya food, I'm eating mithya food every day, that's not fair. No wonder I feel hungry all the time. Hunger is also mithya. Yes. You need a thorn to remove the thorn. Like removes like. This is all homeopathic. You don't know what is happening. Vedanta has a great affinity to homeopathy. Homeopathy is a very, it works. We don't know what works because there is no medicine. Like bee sting, that's a medicine. The sting of the bee for all kinds of, some kind of inflamed skin, rashes and all that. So then you take one drop of that bee sting and put it in a huge vat of water, and you just churn it and turn it and turn it and turn it till the cows come home. And then after that, what do? You take one drop of that, put it in another water, and you do that 10 times. And the last water, when you analyze it, it has no bee, no sting, nothing. Yeah, you can take it to a lab and get it analyzed. They'll say this is Shuddha water. Jalameva. This is just water only, nothing else other than water. But that blessed water, after it has been churned so many times, it is the most powerful remedy. It has, in fact, the more you decant it and the more you churn it, the more powerful it becomes. So the non-medicine cures this ailment, some rash or something like that. And here also, the non-medicine in the form of the words not from the book. The words in the book are dead. They are dead words. Oh, the teacher is giving them CPR. In fact, the whole parampara is got the medical equipment. The ambulance is the parampara. You know, the guru lineage is the ambulance, and it will have all kinds of tricks inside it to bring this dead thing to life. Just briefly, until the person, says a few words and then dies off again. That's all it is. That's all we need. So the book is dead. The words are dead. That's why you cannot read the Upanishad. If you read the Upanishad, you will have a few more complexes than when you first started. Yeah. So therefore, you have CPR, you have IV, you have one IV line, you have life support, you have what else, all kinds of things. Code blue and, Amrtabindu Upanishad. So you have all kinds of things. And then the words are resuscitated each time the knowledge is live, brought back to life just for you. This is fantastic. Brought to life, really. The dead words, dead means because they have no power unless they are resurrected by the power of the lineage of students. Teacher-students. That is what the power is, otherwise the words have no way to communicate. That because they are a means of knowledge, they have to be handled. And in fact, in the previous times, and that's why we feel like this might be a later Upanishad for people who are still interested to know the date. Because Grantham Abhyasya, Grantha it says. So it was at a time we can see when the writing was there, and so the manuscripts in the form of what are they called? The palm leaves, they were all there. So Grantham Abhyasya, having well assimilated the knowledge therein, with the help of a teacher. Because if you try to resuscitate, then what will happen? Instead of Upanishad, Dr. Jekyll will come back to life. Yeah. Because Dr. Jekyll is sitting here in the form of complexes. Your own creation that you're afraid of. No, that's why you leave it to the expert, the teacher, who has studied from his teacher, from her teacher, from his teacher, from her teacher, and for long, years and years and years. And then, in the presence of that, parampara, in the presence of that, when the words are handled properly, then the knowledge takes place. So in other words, the book comes alive because of the teacher's CPR, TLC, whatever it is. And the teacher brings the book to life just for you. And then after that what? Poof, gone. That's why in the earlier days this was never written down. This was called Karna Parampara. From mouth to ear. And from that mouth to another ear. Karna Parampara. It was all memorized, it was all here. There was no need for any Upanishad before this to say, please feed the leftover to the goats. There was no need to say that, please recycle the paper. No. But by the time, perhaps by the time this Upanishad came along, people were already hoarding manuscripts. That was there. And the more manuscripts that you had, the more erudite you were considered. I mean, think even in your houses, how many books are on the bookcase? And how many of them are you really reading? And how many of them have you assimilated? The answer will be surprising. That's how it is. And so, Grantham Abhyasya Medhavi. So, if you are a real Medhavi, what do you have to do? What do you have to do? What kind of a Medhavi? There is another qualification for the Medhavi. Jnana Vijnana Tatparaha. Tatparaha means committed to Tat, really. Tat is Jagat Karanam Brahma here, Ishvara. So Paraha means the one who is headed, the one who has the goal. And so Tatparaha, headed towards a particular goal. And the goal here is understanding Ishvara as oneself. Ishvara is not the book. You are Ishvara, correct? Book is not Ishvara. Book is just a method of communication. It's like, to cross the river, what do you need? A pair of water skis. Yeah, whatever it is, doesn't matter. Jet skis, surfboard, whatever it is that you use to cross. After that, what do? You leave that there and walk. Not like the Medhavi, here used sarcastically in the story, where he used a little boat to carry him across the river. And then what did he do? He put the boat on his back and carried the boat. What is the use? No use. The boat has finished its purpose. Correct? That's how it is. The boat has finished its purpose. And then you throw away the boat or leave it for the next person to take it back or whatever, to use it. You don't need it any longer. So, Jnana Vijnana Tatparaha. There are two words here. Jnanam cha Vijnanam cha. So, usually Jnanam is enough. Vijnanam and Jnanam are one and the same thing. But if they are used together, the Upanishad does not have the fallacy of redundancy. Punarukti dosha is not there. And so Punarukti means redundant, repeating itself. It's not like us. Oh, did I say that? Oh, so sorry. Well, you know what I mean, and I'm just, did I say that already? Oh, okay, it doesn't matter. I've said it 3 times. It's not like that. Since it is infallible, since it has come from Bhagavan, Veda, there is no, in the Veda, Veda cannot be accused of Punarukti dosha. So therefore, even if it says Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi, it's not because the rishis of the past had a lot of time, so they said 3 Shantis instead of 1. No, there is no repetition. Each Shanti has a different meaning. And so here also, Jnanam Vijnanam, together it has come. We have to see what the meaning is with the bala, with the force of the tradition. And we encounter this, in other places also. Ritam vadishyami, satyam vadishyami. Ritam, satyam, one, only one. But since they are used, deployed simultaneously and consecutively, then we have to look for another meaning. And so here, Ritam and Satyam both mean Satyam, truth. But Ritam here means the, Vacha, Kaya, Manasa, expressing that truth through my, body, mind, senses, thoughts, etc. That, living in accordance to the truth is called Ritam. And that we know from, Shankara Bhashya, etc., from Adi Shankara's works and the force of the tradition. And same way, Jnanam and Vijnanam. Jnanam, Vijnanam, Jnatva, Muchyate is somewhere else we have seen, where Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, also uses Jnanam and Vijnanam. So when the two come together, they have a specific connotation in the tradition. Jnanam is self-knowledge, as we have seen. Knowledge of the self. It's not knowledge of, how to bake a cake. That's not Jnanam. Here, Jnanam means Atma Jnanam. Atma Vichara, Atma Jnanam. And Vijnanam means that knowledge that is well ascertained and it's, it has become Ishvarized as me. So, Jnana Vijnana Tatparaha. Jnanam can become academic knowledge, but when the Vijnanam word is used, that we is really you. That we is not something Visheshena, Vishesha Jnanam. No, V doesn't stand for Vishesha here. Yes, grammatically it stands for Vishesha, but it's not any kind of special knowledge. First you do an MA in Vedanta, then you do a PhD. No, that's not what it is all about. This is more in the sense of the knowledge that has become very clear to me and I have assimilated. So well ascertained, well assimilated knowledge, free of doubt, despair, fears, tears, vagueness, mistakes, free of all that. That knowledge is called Vijnanam, where I have owned up myself as Ishvara. So Tatparaha, committed, the Medhavi who is committed to owning oneself up as Ishvara. Grantham Tyajet Asheshataha. Asheshataha means without baki, without any residue. No residue. Can I keep just a corner of one page? No. As a memory that I studied this? No. Can I keep the cover? No. Can I keep the last page? No. Can I just tear out one verse that I like? No. Asheshataha. Fully. Tyajet, throw it away. Abandon the book. Abandon the book? Yeah, abandon the book. How can I do that? Like even one abandons this is a very, I'll tell you this is a dangerous metaphor in Eugene, but having qualified that, I'll tell you why. Let's look at the metaphor, okay? Having abandoned the husk, you take the grain, okay? One may argue nobody eats husk, but here you go to the shops, there is wheat husk. There is a special thing, and that costs organic wheat husk, and then that will cost more than the wheat. Yeah, that's what it is. This is a modern organic day for you. Organic days, DAZE. Okay. Yeah. So this is what it is. So this is how it is. So therefore, whenever I come across these kinds of metaphors in Eugene, I have a little sankocha, I feel constrained and constricted, because how to use this metaphor, because this is the culture, here this Oregon, land is the culture where the apple is thrown away, the peel is cooked into cake and everything. Banana is thrown away into the compost and the peel is cooked. Not very appealing, but there you have it. So anyhow, but this is for normal people. This is not for Oregonians, this example. And so for the normal people, what do we say? What do they eat? They eat the grain, dhanyarthi. So here, Vidyarthi, there is a silent contrast, very beautiful. That Medhavi is a Vidyarthi as opposed to who? Dhanyarthi. Arthi, the seeker of. So the one who is hungry is seeking grain, not the husk. But the husk has more vitamins. Shut up, keep quiet. Just listen to the Drishtanta, okay? Yeah. So we are not talking of vitamins, we are talking of hunger, feeding the hunger, okay? But the husk has fiber, keep quiet. Nobody wants your knowledge right now, So, just like you throw away the husk and you winnow the husk, and wherever anything is there like the husk, you throw away the chaff and keep the grain, correct? Yeah, chaff, is that what it's called? Chaff. Yeah, chaff. Without getting chafed. You throw away the chaff and keep the grain, correct? What are you after? You want the grain, because that grain is useful. I don't want any dissent here. So the grain is useful because it fills the hunger. It does the poshanam. It nurtures me and it fills the hunger. And so therefore the grain is useful. The husk is, for just cows, etc., cattle. So you throw away the husk. Yeah, that's what they do. They cook the husk and, or distill it, and along with a few grains, they feed it to the cattle. Then you drink the milk, it's as good as eating the husk, no problem. So therefore, this is how the whole thing is. You don't eat the husk because you're a dhanyarthi, and you will pick the grain and throw away the husk. And so for the Vidyarthi, you take the Vidya, the book is not the Vidya. Because book is Apara Vidya. What I want is Para. I want Para, the book is Apara, na Para. In fact, it is, what is that? Viparitarthe, opposite of Para. Viparitarthe, negative pratyaya called Nanj. Viparitarthe. So, Para and Apara. Para means myself, the absolute, Bhagavan, Ishvara as me. That is what I want. The husk becomes a distraction. Because if I start collecting the husk, then, the grain is forgotten. So, Palalam means husk. Palalam iva. So, the next 3-4 verses are going to be full of drishtantas. How do you know drishtanta is there? One of the, buzzwords is iva. Whenever you see iva, it's a drishtanta alert, example alert. Tadvat, example alert. Tatha yatha, example alert. These are all ways to say, okay, an example is coming up. So, palalam iva dhanyarthi yatha tyajet palalam, yatha palalam tyajet. Similarly, tatha vidyarthi medhavi jnana vijnana tatparaha, the one who is committed to really gaining this knowledge, not just as an abstraction, not just as something to collect. Like the book collects dust, this person also collects, all the knowledge. No. You're not trying to be a knowledge collector. What you are seeking is to be transformed by the knowledge. Then once the book has done the job, you do not any longer need it. So dhanyarthi tyajet grantham asheshataha. Throw away the book. Not yet. We have a few more verses. And perhaps there is some kind of a, what is it, this thing, there is that understanding of a certain maturity, a certain emotional maturity, where one stops being a collector. This is not about being a collector. This is not about a collection. This is not about hoarding. In fact, Vedanta is about letting go, and the final letting go is letting go of the book. That is what the whole thing is. So, Palalamiva, a very nice metaphor, of course, outside of Oregon, and very effective. Yeah, very effective. And Palalamiva dhanyarthi, arthi, and tyajet grantham asheshataha. Don't do this. And a small caveat here, this verse has been quoted because every Upanishad becomes famous for a few verses. This one is famous for this verse. In fact, if I wanted, to select verses from this, it would have been the whole thing about that ghata kasha, ghataha niyeta na akasha, that was actually very powerful. I would have selected that. Or that the ghata has many births and na janati swayam, that one I would have selected. This one is not, this one is an effective verse, it's a wonderful verse, it's radical, it's revolutionary, but unfortunately it has also been read wrongly. And I am going to tell you how it has been read wrongly, because this is what is that? Purva Pakshi, we have to know. We have to know all the opponents and how they have mischaracterized this particular verse. So this particular mantra they have seen as, Medhavi, Jnana Vijnana Tatparaha. If you really are a Medhavi, if you really want Bhagavan, throw away the book. You don't need the book to become enlightened. Of course, they forgot the first word, abhyasya. They caught hold of the word grantham, they forgot the main thing. Grantham what? Abhyasya. Having completely studied, they forgot that word. Convenient. This is called selective reading. And this is again a question of, this is a psychological problem, not a eyesight problem that they have that you can forgive. An eyesight problem, you say, okay, poor thing, they elided or skipped over a word. But this is a psychological issue. Again, not their fault, but they have to resolve it. The psychological issue is, why do I need a teacher? Why do I need the lineage? Why do I have to go to somebody and study? I can simply read it. And in fact, even without reading, I can just sit and do Kapola Kalpana. You know, Kapola Kalpana is when the skull starts to think rather than what is underneath the skull. If the skull starts to have thoughts, we have to all be worried, okay? Because skull is inert. So you can just sit and weave some things, and people do that. Fly-by-night operations, and then people say, my name is so-and-so. And then what? What do you do? Well, I am a enlightened soul. So what? That I teach that. It's an experience. Throw away the book. Grantham tyajet medhavi. Abhyasya has crossed out. Because you don't need anything. You only need your inner guru. And this inner guru says, Kuru, 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 100 times. And the inner guru teaches. You know what? Even to activate that inner guru, an outer guru is needed. Yeah. So, inner guru also, like the Grantha, has to be resuscitated. Poor guru, nobody has listened to that inner guru for generations. It has also just, it's gone into coma. Yeah, because it needs to be activated. That Spuranam needs to take place. And here, this verse has been bandied and taken as an example, a wrong kind of example. And they will say, masters are there who have become quote unquote enlightened without grantha, without studies. And what is the example? Ramana Maharshi. Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi, look, he knew everything. And did he study? No. How do you know whether he studied or not? First of all, were you following his life as a photojournalist? If not, keep quiet. You don't know whether he studied or not, or who he studied with. And if he did not study, why would he talk in such great detail about Guru in all the questions that he was asked? And not only that, he without studying, he got it. And don't always look to the exception. Look to the rule. Because the exception is there not to defy the rule, but to confirm the rule. That's what an exception is. The exception confirms the rule. It doesn't negate the rule. Go to it. And also, what do we say? We are not worried about this. We say that you have to study either asmin janmani, in this life, or janmantareva. Either you study in this life or next life, or sometimes what? In the previous life. Some shishta prarabdha is there. Some little bit of prarabdha is left. You have to take that person has to, the so-called person who didn't have to study may have already studied in the last life and had to take a body for a few years or whatever it was, and then they looked as though, to us, they looked as though they were born, free. But that's not true. You have to do the work. Either you gain the maturity in the last life, so that you come early to this knowledge in this life, or you gain the maturity in this life and gain the knowledge in the next life, or you do the both in the same life, or you have already gained most of the knowledge and little more vasanas and desires were there, so therefore the next birth also took place. Like that it is there. So we have an explanation. So it's not that without study, somebody just, apne aap, I gained this knowledge by myself. If one wants to look like a fool, one will advertise that. Otherwise, this is actually very shameful to say I gained the knowledge by myself. This really defies that. So this verse has been used for to tout the fact that you don't need to be taught. Okay. Then next one is another metaphor. What is that metaphor? Let's see. गवामनेकवर्णानां
गवामनेकवर्णानां
क्षीरस्याप्येकवर्णता
क्षीरस्याप्येकवर्णता
क्षीरवत् पश्यते ज्ञानम्
क्षीरवत् पश्यते ज्ञानम्
लिङ्गिनस्तु गवां यथा.
लिङ्गिनस्तु गवां यथा.
Yeah. So now after this, after assimilating the knowledge, what do? You throw away the book. Just like what? The husk you throw away and carry home the grain. Yeah, even for Oregon we can make it otherwise. Yeah. Just like in Oregon they throw away the grain and carry home the husk. Same thing, it will still work. You just have to reverse it. And so now the same thing is, is through a different metaphor, the oneness of this knowledge that all the Upanishads have samanvaya or eka vakyata is iterated in this through a very beautiful example, which we also find, elsewhere. Gavam aneka varnanam. So the cows come in many colors, correct? Aneka varnana. Yeah, so many colors. Brown cow, red cow, black cow, white cow, black and white cow, patchy cow, Jersey cow, this cow, that cow, so many colors, sizes, shapes. Aneka varnanam api, then even though they come in many colors, what? The cattle, the cows, kshirasya, for the milk, there is only one color. Chocolate milk does not come from brown cows. Okay? Yeah. So you cannot say that the strawberry milk comes from pink cows and mango shake comes from orange cows and milk, no. Milk is, eka varnata. Meaning that all the cows, regardless of their own color, give the same milk. Correct? Yeah. Tatha, in the same manner, look upon the cows as the various Upanishads. The cows are the Upanishads, and then what are and the milk is what? The knowledge therein. So cows are the Upanishads, and the milk is the knowledge. More we will see after a short break, 5 minutes, just to run around in place or jump around, whatever needs to be done. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat
Purnamudachyate
Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Yeah, if you have any questions, you can ask. Yeah, now I will look at that. What is the meaning? Which verse was that? Doubt in verse 13. So let us go back to verse 13. घट संवृतम आकाशम नीयमाने घटे यथा घटो नीयेत नाकाशः तथा जीवः नभोपमः. घटवत् विविधाकारं भिद्यमानं पुनः पुनः तद्भग्नं न. I don't find the tadvat there. I don't know which one there is. Verse 16 should be read. Yeah, I'll go to verse 16 and wait for your response. Tadvad vidvan aksharam dhyayet yadi ichet. Yadi and ichet, dirgha sandhi. So not yadi ichet, not yat ichet, yadi ichet. If the person desires, because that yat has no meaning there. So that's not a typo, that's correct. Yadi ichet, okay? Yeah. So dhanyarthi, yeah. Yeah, 13 is okay. Yeah, 13 is okay. Maybe some other verse you had a question. 13 is alright. 14 is also okay. Tadvat jivaha, somewhere it comes. You find out. No, dhanyarthi. Yeah, that's wrong. Dhanyarthi. You said what you said was correct. Dhanyarthi. No, it should be spelled like this.
Crushed the grains. Was his understanding.
Dhanyarthi. Yeah. In fact, if you don't mind and if you have the time, you can just retype this Upanishad along with the what's its name, the things, because I don't have a copy of this, a soft copy of it to correct. So if you have the time, you can retype it along with transliteration. And I've noticed that in the transliteration, you put a line over the O and the E. Over the O's and E's, that is not needed. So the O and E is because we don't have long and short in the E, not I but E, the letter E itself. So letter E and letter O don't need any kind of a lengthening. Okay. Oh, it's auto generated. Okay. Oh, that's wonderful. Then do it. We can just remove that. Afterwards we'll remove it. Yeah, no problem. Well, wonderful. Wonderful. Spelling, yes? Tell me. Yeah, pashyate is a rare form. Yeah, rare form of pashyati. Pashyate is generally not drish is not atmanepada, but here it is allowed because it is chandasam. Even in Mundaka it comes yada pashyaf pashyate rukma varnam, like that it comes. Yeah, pashyate is talavya. Talavya. Oh, PDF I'm not looking at. Yeah, that's also wrong. Yeah, it should be pashyate, correct. Yeah, I thought you were talking about parasmaipada or something. Yeah. Katrin says, is there any audio recording so that one can listen to the lecture now that all the lessons are permanently on live stream. Okay, yeah, permanently within quotes. What is that? What is that? Then put it, don't keep it on the floor.
Oh.
Yeah, keep it right there. Yeah. Next, right there. And from there itself, they can put it on the plate. Yeah. You don't need another plate. Yeah, they can put it on that plate itself. Did you give reference of verse? Did you give reference to verse 1 of chapter 9 on Jnanam Vijnana Sahitam Yajñatva Mokshate Shubhat, or reference to Jnana. No. First verse. Yeah. First verse. Not the 15th one. First one. Jnanam vijnana sahitam yajñātva mokshase ashubhat. Not shubhat, ashubhat. Because there is an elision. Shubhat mokshase means it's very difficult. Means you have freedom from everything shubha. Shubha means auspicious.
Leave to go get blood done.
Oh,
When would be the best time?
what time do you have to go?
It's gonna be, well, they open at 8, but it's a fasting one, so I can't eat anything until I get my blood done.
Oh.
So I'm just wondering when you're gonna do the,
So go after the class.
okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
we finish
Yeah.
around 8.
And then I'll be back.
Yeah, then you come back. Yeah, that's good that you are there. Anjana has enjoyed the mithya of live stream and is very thankful that that mithya exists. This recording has to be refreshed. Can you please do that? I just stopped it. Even in this book,
There's mistakes?
no, there is that,
Oh, really?
number of realized masters who haven't studied the scriptures.
Oh,
Yeah.
And it's not just a footnote, it's
No, it's the whole explanation. In fact, I have not looked at any of the explanations.
Uh-huh.
And this one I just looked because I knew that this was controversial. Hoping to be surprised, but no. No. Okay. Shall we begin again? Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. There is something very wholesome about the knowledge being compared to milk. Because milk, you can live off of milk. It's very, sustaining. Again, a difficult metaphor in Eugene with a lot of vegans. And what you can think, the vegans can imagine, so many soya beans, one soya milk. Soya milk is of the same color, whether the soya bean is harvested here or there or anywhere. Correct? Or Japan soya bean, this is the same thing. You see, we are very accommodated. Yeah. Hemp milk, soya milk, what else? Oat milk, rice milk, almond milk. Yeah, coconut milk. You can, whatever it is. So many coconuts, one milk. So there's something very wholesome about this milk analogy because the milk is extremely nourishing. and you can live off of that. And also, from the standpoint of sattva, rajas, tamas, milk is sattvic. Yeah, milk is very sattvic. And so in that sense, rather than eating garlic, I told you the story of Rahu Ketu. I didn't finish that. A few drops, because when Mahavishnu slayed this fellow who morphed into two, a few drops of blood were shed when that Asura was decapitated and the tail became Ketu and the head became Rahu. And a strange plant grew in that area where the blood had fallen. Guess what it was? Garlic. Yeah. So that's why we don't eat garlic. It's Rahu Ketu's blood, full of what is that? Tamas. So, but milk brings out, of course, if it is organic and if it is properly without harming the shishu, the vatsa, the baby and the mother, without harming and depriving the baby of milk and without harming the mother with all antibiotics and hormones, then and if the animal is allowed to roam free, we have to add all this. What life we have come to really. So if the animal is allowed to roam free, etc., then we have what is called sattvic, milk, because a happy cow yields happy milk, and that happy milk is ingested by a person who then, it brings out that inner contentment because it's a sattvic food. It is a food that is to be imbibed by people who are on the spiritual path under these circumstances. I'm not, saying that you have to drink milk all the time. That's not what I'm saying. But under these circumstances, it's seen as a wholesome food, and therefore, like even this knowledge, the knowledge is also like that. You can that's all that you need, really. Because that alone is satyam, everything else is what? Mithya. And so, with the knowledge, that is the main thing in life. And like the milk, it is wholesome, and like the milk, it also has what's the word for it? It also has this metaphor of being culled from various sources and having this one thing alone, which is that universal, which is recognized anywhere simultaneously. So too, the knowledge is like the milk, which is all pervasive, and regardless of how many times and in whichever way it is stated, brown cow, yellow cow, green cow, painted, and black cow, white cow, doesn't matter. The milk is all the same. So too the Upanishads are all the same, but they are very different if you look at each one individually. Taittiriya Upanishad talks about a five-fold division in the elements. Tasmad va etasmad atmana akashas sambhutah akashad vayuh vayoragnihi agnerapah adbhyah prithvi prithivya oshadhayah oshadhibhyonnam annat purushah. Like this, five-fold, 5 elements are there, and everything has come from the Atma. Then you go to Chandogya, it only talks about 3 elements. Does it mean the other 2 are not there? No, its purport is slightly different there. But still there is Ekavakyata, because we are not committed to a cosmology or a creationism. We are not interested in creationism. Oh, are you evolutionists? We are not interested in evolution either. We are interested in de-evolving from ajnanam. That's all it is. We are not interested in all this because that is all mithya. Then why does the Upanishad say, oh, Bhagavan created and all these things? Characharatmakam jagat. So that to keep you quiet, that's all. Because you have all these questions. But the Upanishad is not committed to cosmology of creation. It's not interested in what came first, what came next, who did that, etc. It's not interested at all. It is only interested in relieving you of ignorance. And in order to do that, it will jump through all kinds of hoops just to be desirable to you. That's what it does. And so therefore the milk has a very powerful here to see that there is something called samanvaya. And in fact the last Brahma Sutra in the first four when we study is called Tattu Samanvayat. In the first Adhyaya it comes that the whole Vedanta, in fact the whole Veda itself has Eka Vakyata. This is very important because that's what makes it an infallible source of knowledge. It does not have nothing can contradict it from outside, correct? Nothing can contradict it from outside because it's a means of knowledge. So the ears can't contradict what the eyes see. So similarly, what Vedanta, puts forth and deploys as the truth of you, it cannot be contradicted by your feelings because your feelings are not a means of knowledge, or your intuition, that's not a means of knowledge. It isn't. No, it isn't. What about other people's feelings? That's also not a means of knowledge. So the means of knowledge is not contradicted by anything from outside, this knowledge, because it itself is an independent pramana, means of knowledge, and it has no internal contradiction. One Upanishad will not contradict the other. What do you mean it will not contradict the other? It contradicts the other all the time. Yan manasa na manute. Which Upanishad? No, that's a trick question. It must be Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter. No. Kena Upanishad. Yat manasa na manute. That which is not gained by the mind. One Upanishad. The other Upanishad is what? Kathopanishad, which says, Manasa eva idam aptavyam. This has to be gained only by the mind. What do you mean? There is no contradiction. The contradiction is as though. Because there, Manasa is not, the mind is not as an agent. In fact, that Manasa is Manasi. It's more of a seventh case reading, not a third case reading. How do we know? Thanks to Adi Shankara's Bhashya and other Bhashyas, Tikas, Tippanis, all the other, this is a highly analyzed Shastra, analyzed for 5,000 years. Who are we to give it whatever meaning we want? Because there's a whole, weight, there's a weightage of the tradition. That is, the tradition is weighing on the meanings of each and every word. It is very sophisticatedly, body of knowledge that has been properly analyzed. We are not shy of analysis. This is not a belief-based tradition. But the analysis is in conformity to what is there. Yan manasa na manute, but look at the next line. Yena ahuhu manomatam. Yena, all manishinaha, all the knowledgeable people, what do they say? Ahuhu, they say, manaha matam, by which the mind itself is an object that is known. That is you. You are there, therefore mind is. The mind cannot intuit you or prove you. Yeah. So that way, so there is no internal contradiction. There is no external contradiction. So it's a body of knowledge. Therefore, it is what? Infallible. Just like the milk of various cows are all white, no matter which cow it came from. And in fact, what the milk sellers do in India is they mix the milk of different cows. That is what we consider homogenized. Yeah, because one cow will give different flavors or something, little bit difference maybe there. They mix it because it's essentially the same. So they mix the milk of all the cows, and you can do that only because it is exactly the same. And so therefore, of course they mix water also, thinking that it's exactly the same. But that's not our example here. So here, this is the whole thing, that the knowledge is as pure as the milk. Very beautiful analogy. As pure as the milk. And then it's as nourishing as the milk. And it is completely without contradiction, because therefore it said aneka varnam gavam. So out of all the milch cows, milk, but milch cows, yeah. So the milch cows yielding milk. That is how the English is. Don't ask why. Yeah. So all the milch cows are maybe of various colors, but their yield is one and the same. All the Upanishads may have various colorations, but the knowledge that they give, or in other words, their commitment. Linginaha means the Upanishads here. Linginaha, the ones that indicate. Lingyate anena. Linga means it's an indicator. So lingyate anena. By this something is understood. So linginaha. So these which have these lingas, and also because the Upanishad is recognized by the 6 lingas, upakrama, upasamhara, all these things. And so like this, apurvata, upapatti, like this there are 6 lingas. And so that's why it's also called lingin. So but anyhow, whatever the reason, it indicates something. I prefer to take the non-literal reading more into consideration, which is linginaha, because it is talking about that which is an indicatory knowledge, a knowledge lakshyartha, not the exact meaning of the words, but what is indicated through the words, which is understood by one. That is what is the linginaha. So like this, the lingas, the Upanishads are all one, and they give that same knowledge, or rather their commitment is removing your ignorance no matter what their coloration is. Sarvopanishado gavo dogdha gopala nandanaha. Where have you studied that? Sarvopanishado gavo dogdha gopala nandanaha. Gita Dhyana Shloka. Yeah, if I say in tune, it will come. Sarvopanishado gavaha dogdha gopala nandanaha partho vatsas sudhir bhokta dugdhan Amrtam mahat. Now Artha Spuranam took place. Yeah, that's why we have the tune, So, Sarva, all the Upanishads are cows. See, very similar. Upanishads are cows, yeah. Like cows, eva. Metaphor, it's a rupaka. And then what? But we need a milker, correct? Cows don't translate into milk. They don't come and milk themselves at your doorstep, into the bottle. No, they need somebody to milk. Who is the milker? Who is the milkman? Gopala Nandanaha. Lord Krishna is the milkman, not just the cow herd. Herds the cows. And then what? Milks them also here. And then of course the milk of the cow is for who? Don't say for me. Why does the cow, bear milk? For its child. Yes, not for you. Not for you. Sometimes in India you see that, the milk sellers, they will tie a poor cloth on the the calf's mouth, so that it will not go and suckle the milk from the mother. I feel we should tie a cloth on our mouths and let the poor baby have its fill, So here the milk is very clear. It's for the baby. Vatsaha. It's for the baby. And who is the baby? Arjuna is the baby. Yes. Arjuna is the baby, a hungry baby, eager, crying baby. Of course, in the first chapter he's crying. I don't know when I'm going to finish this Upanishad, but I don't want to hurry. So, in the first chapter he's crying. And so this baby is Arjuna. And then Sudhihi Bhokta, so what is left over is drunk by the Medhavis here, which is called Sudhihi. So Medha, Sudhihi, same thing. Dhi is short for buddhi. So people having sad buddhi. So by those people it is drunk. And what is the milk? The milk is the knowledge in the Bhagavad Gita, the knowledge of immortality, that you are not subject to death. What a beautiful metaphor. So the Upanishads are like the milk, very beautiful, because it nurtures this crying child, the inner child crying because of samsara. So it rocks that baby and then also makes it strong with this knowledge. So the Upanishad is like the mother. Just like the mother nourishes the baby with her milk, so she gives of herself really to nourish the baby. It's not a bond that is broken after the birth. Once the umbilical cord has been cut, she doesn't say, no matter what species, forget a few reptiles and all, we are not talking of snakes. Let's reserve that for the rope. And here, just, most of the parents, even in the mothers, even in the animal kingdom, they feed the baby. They don't say, okay, now that you are born, you're on your own. And they will also kick it out of the nest after some time, but they feed it. That continues. There is something very nurturing about that. So to the Upanishad, this jiva has been given birth to because of his own desires, her own desires. But still the Upanishad doesn't abandon this crying jiva who was born due to their own fault, really. If you look at it, the Upanishad had nothing to do with it. But still the Upanishad, like a mother, picks up this baby and, feeds herself, really. Feeds it her own self, and in so doing, quietens this cry, completely. So it works on two levels. The inner child, the fearful one, the one who says, I'm trapped in samsara, I am afraid, I am fearful, gets a pacifier. And then the adult who comes to the teaching gets taught. Very beautiful metaphor. The second one. So all the same color, milk, different colored cows, very beautiful. Then the next one, the Rishi has abandoned the meter. Ghritamiva payasi nigudham. Hello? Yeah. Wake up. Bhute bhute vasati vijnanam.
Bhute bhute vasati vijnanam.
Satatam manthaitavyam.
Satatam manthaitavyam.
Manasa manthana bhutena.
Manasa manthana bhutena.
Yet one more beautiful, metaphor. The milk is carried over, okay? Yeah. So now the cows have given the milk. Now let's do something with this milk. Payasi, in the milk. Nigudham, hidden. Ghritam iva, that's how we know this is a metaphor. An example, Drishtanta. Ghritam means what? Ghee. Like even the ghee which is hidden in the milk. Like if you have a patram of milk, is the ghee in the left hand side or the right hand side or in the middle or at the bottom? Does the ghee sink to the bottom? No. And so the ghee is throughout the milk, it is present, but it is not recognized. It is recognized only as a spare tire after many months of drinking full fat milk. So, Madhya Pradesh, so perhaps that's what we have to say. So no, it is hidden in the milk, it's not recognized. Only on you it is not hidden, but in the milk it is definitely hidden, correct? You don't see the ghritam, correct? Ghritam eva payasi nigudha. And then what? Then bhute, in the same way. First is drishtanta, then dartanta, And then bhute bhute vasati vijnanam. So in every being, in all beings, bhuteshu bhuteshu, in all beings, in every being, there is this knowledge, vijnanam, not jnanam, vijnanam. This knowledge of oneness, this knowledge that you are limitless, this knowledge of wholeness, this knowledge that you are Ishvara. And here also it's all paradoxical. I have to Ishvarize before I understand I am Ishvara. And so like this, this knowledge is there as a potential. Just like even ghee is there as a potential in the payas, in the milk. And then, bhute, here, bhuta means elements and elementals. Yeah. But how can you say in the rock, knowledge is there? Knowledge is there. Satyam jnanam, anantam. Rock is also satchit ananda. But it doesn't have the means to express that chit. Yeah, that's all it is. It doesn't have the means, because it doesn't have the means to express that. It doesn't have what is called subtle body. Sukshma Shariram is absent, and so the rock cannot say anything. The rock doesn't say, I rock, I am Satchidananda. No. It's unable to say that, but it is Satyam Jnanam Anantam. What about Vayu, Kham, space, air, etc.? They are all Satchidananda. They don't have to say, they don't have to sit and learn Upanishads because they don't have a complex centered on the self. Then come to worms, dogs, cats, etc. Satchidananda, Satchidananda, Satchidananda. Who taught them? Nobody taught them. Then how come they don't learn? They don't have to learn. Why? Because they don't complain. They don't have a complex. How do you know? Because even the poodle that has been trimmed and pruned like a tree goes for a walk uncomplainingly. If it had a complex on the self, it will just go like this when the leash was tied. It will say, no, I'm not going to be seen like this. What have you done to my hair? No. Little poor thing goes. And sometimes the dogs are dressed up. I've seen them wearing coats and all kinds of things. Still they go poor things, uncomplainingly. And they don't go to the hairdresser, and they don't go and get their nails done. So we know that they don't have a complex centered on the self. They don't think that, what is that? There is one contest called the world's ugliest dog. And its poor thing's photo was published in the internet. And it didn't look like a dog at all to me. But it happily posed for the photograph. It said, no way, I'm going to wear something that, I'm going to wear a veil. I'm not going to be seen. It didn't say that. It happily posed, the tongue was lolling out and the all teeth were all funny and it had never worn braces and it didn't need to. And the hair was all gone from one side and another side hair was there. One ear, some cat had, in a fight, had stolen away. Only one ear was left. All these things were there. Still, it had no problem smiling almost in front of the camera. So the dogs, cats, again don't have a complex centered on the self. Then why me? Why only I have a complex? You know what? That's also a complex. That why me is itself a why me complex. That itself shows that there is complex. No, but really, why only me? Because you have free will. That is not inhibited. And so therefore, wherever there is uninhibited free will, there is a human or humanesque life where there will be plenty of complexes. So therefore, bhute bhute nigudham, bhute bhute vasati. It lives in all beings. In fact, all the things that are there in the universe are just Satchidananda plus a little covering. That's all it is. It's like Modakam. Modakam is what is inside is called Purna. Very interesting. Purna means whole, limitless. And that limitless has a limited covering, which expires. Yeah, that Modakam is very elaborate. And what do? They put this covering onto this, what is the jaggery and coconut and everything they mix, and then this double cooked rice flour, and then you roll it out, and then you put this, fill this, and then steam it one more time, and that's what is called modakam. And that sweetness is everywhere pervaded, because the rice flour jacket is very bland. It doesn't have a taste. It's just a coat, and it's all buttoned down coat. You button it properly, and then you steam it so that the button doesn't come out in the steaming process. And then you eat it. It's not that the sweetness is on one side and not on the other. It has permeated completely. Very labor intensive, but extremely tasty. Favorite of Ganesha. This is modakam, made for festivals and everything. And what is inside is called purna. Same thing. So here, bhute, everything is purna. Oh, you mean I'm made of coconut and jaggery? What is represented by that, okay? Yeah. What is represented by that is that sweetness, wholeness, Satchidananda. That is what you are, and you are made, that is what you are. Plus you have this jacket. Yeah, that's what. Sometimes a torn jacket, sometimes a thick jacket, nothing goes through, and sometimes a transparent jacket. Doesn't matter, that's all it is. So bhute, vasati. So in fact, the jacket is counted as real, and what, this is counted as not very, real, but in fact the other way around applies. So then how do I understand this? Satatam manthayitavyam. How do you get the ghee out of the milk? You have to churn the ghee. Keep churning. Churn away the ghee. And when you churn, what happens? Butter comes out. Ghee doesn't come out directly. If you are waiting, then you will be disappointed. Butter comes out, and then you put that on the fire, and it is clarified further. Okay? So, but to get the raw material for the ghee, which is butter, you have to churn it. And the churning stick is your mind used properly. So in other words, you churn the knowledge. This is called mananam. You churn the knowledge, mananam, through removal of doubts and through constantly moving in the knowledge. Just like the, manthana means the stick. What is that called? That churning stick. Manthana is called churning stick. So that manas, the mind here, the buddhi, is the churning stick. And so just like the churning stick moves all over the milk in order to get the butter, so similarly the mind moves in the milk of the Upanishads, and then what? And the butter comes out, the hidden butter is discovered. Mind you, it is not produced. It's not that the non-butter became butter. The butter was already existent and it just came out, correct? So too, the knowledge is already there, present, but it has not, so to speak, risen or arisen as a fact for me. It has not become a reality for me. And why has it not become a reality for me? Because I haven't dwelt in the knowledge. So the mananam is dwelling in the knowledge, nididhyasanam also, churning, moving through the knowledge, analyzing, completely living in it, just like the churning stick moves all over the milk. So like this, I, make my arena, the entire Upanishads, and then quell the Shastra, the message of the Shastra, and that message of the Shastra is Ghritam. Ghritam vai ayuhu, there is one saying. Life itself is ghee. You have to have ghee. Before they threw away the ghee, cholesterol like that. Now they are saying, oh, it's ghee is good fat, you have to eat a little bit of that. So like this. So this is what it is saying. Satatam manthayitavyam manasa manthana bhutena. So make the mind into a churning stick. So the mind, by the mind that has been converted into a churning stick, may one, constantly dwell in the knowledge of the Upanishads, churn the knowledge of the Upanishads, so that the hidden butter is discovered. So it's not really something realized or enlightened, or this knowledge is coming from somewhere and hitting you, like a stone, asteroid. No, that's not what it is. It is what is within is being understood and owned up. And the crux of it is like it's being distilled and owned up. So don't be afraid to walk all over the Upanishad and roll in the Upanishad, dwell, just like the manthana, the churning stick rolls in the milk. You also roll, and may you roll and dwell in the Upanishad. It is almost to coming at the end. This verse is like a blessing from the teacher, in the Rishi here, saying, may you constantly be rolling in the Upanishad. And in so doing, your true nature, you as though discover what was already an existent fact. It's not something new. Very nice, wonderful analogy. And then one more analogy is given. Jnananetram samadaya
Jnananetram samadaya
uddharedvanhivat param
Kodharedvanhivat param
Nishkalam nishchalam shantam
Nishchalam shantam
Tad brahmahamiti smritam.
Tad brahmahamiti smritam.
Yeah. Jnana netram. Again, it's a what is that? Pun. I'll explain. But first, jnana netram means what? Through the eye of knowledge. Correct? Yeah. Samadaya means having made it, whatever, having taken, having assimilated, having understood this jnanam in the form of jnana chakshu. And in the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna is told by the Lord that you cannot see me in my form with these eyes. Dadami chete chakshuhu. I will give you jnana chakshu, a way of some kind of early version of Google Glass, some kind of 3D glass. So you can see everything because you are just in the time-space, you are caught by the time-space dimension. So here jnana chakshu means a jigyasu, first meaning jigyasu's chakshu, the netram, the eye of the seeker, because the seeker sees things differently than a non-seeker. So the one who is a true seeker, that kind of a person, or you can, second meaning, the jnani's netra, the eye of the person who already knows, or who is in the process of knowing, doesn't matter. Either a jigyasu, the one who is a seeker, or one who is in the process of knowing, or the one who has already assimilated, the knowledge. Samadaya, having, owned up this knowledge, then what? Uddharet, urdhvam haret, lift up. What shall we lift up? Like even the fire. Lift up Brahman. Poor Brahman is down in the well, and you lift it up. Vanhivat, like even the fire. I'll explain that metaphor. Let us look at the verse. Nishkalam, okay, so that is just that we can look at later. So vanhivat param. So this has to do with the ancient way of lighting the fire for yajna. It was called arani. Adho arani and urdhva arani. Two pieces of wood, one with a small little indentation. The bottom arani, that piece of wood was called arani. The top one was also called arani. Urdhva, the top arani and the bottom arani. And in between a small little frayed piece of cloth, dry cloth or rope was put. And then again that churning, because the earlier verse is also about churning. This is also about churning. So this churning took place, and that kind of a churning, that friction of the two pieces of wood with that frayed rope, that dry hay or frayed rope in the middle would kindle, would act as a kindling. That friction, that heat would produce the fire. Correct? Mm-hmm. And now the question is, where did the fire come from? It's almost like magical. I have seen how they do it. It's really magical because what they put is a miserable straw in, or a little piece of rope. Small little thing. They use it as a kindling, and it's not a kindling. It's just a piece of rope. Suddenly it lights up, and then they take that into the Yajna Kunda and then ceremonially light the fire for the Homa. And so therefore, where was this fire? That's the question. Did the fire come from elsewhere? No. The fire was present in that little piece of rope or wood or whatever they put as a potential kindling. The fire was already present there. This is a very interesting argument. It probably doesn't correspond to modern science, but it's an interesting argument because in another Upanishad also they say that Indhanam, this fuel, is called, the wood is called fuel because it already has the potential for the fire. That's why it's called fuel. Why would it, otherwise it should just be called a tree. Why is it called fuel? Once it's cut down, why is it called fuel? Because it already has fire. If you just put iron logs and then try to light a fire, nothing will happen. But there is something about that wood which has the fire as a potential. And this manthanam here again, a different kind of churning, is bringing out what is already there. So this is just an extension of the previous drishtanta. So urdhvam haret, uddharet, vanhivat param. So like that fire which is present in the wood or in that little piece of rope or whatever they have put in between the two aranis, the fire is already present. The fire is not coming magically from somewhere, and the fire as a potential is present, and that potential has been, understood or brought to fruition. So similarly, this Brahma, which is nishchalam, unmoving, nishkalam, impartite, nishchalam, unmoving in one place, meaning all pervasive, shantam, which is not of any kind of a disruptive nature or any kind of disturbance, free of all disturbances. Adi bhautika, adi daivika, adhyatmika, ashantihi, free of all disturbances. This Brahman, tad aham iti smritam. So tad aham iti smritam here doesn't mean you remember. There is nothing that you forgot to remember. There is no remembering here. What is there is this. Remembering, means understanding. Understanding. Then why don't, why not say jnatam? Why say smritam? Because there is a very good reason to say smritam. Huh? What was
like
that?
the fire that exists.
Fire?
It's like the fire that is in the wood.
Yeah, it's like the fire that is in the wood, but there is another reason, a beautiful reason, because when the teacher teaches, the teacher remembers how he or she was taught. So when you say, Adhihi Bhagavo Brahma, please teach me Brahman, what you're actually saying is Madartham Smara. Please remember how you were taught when you were taught, so that I can learn. Please teach me how you were taught. So for which reason the teacher has to remember. So it's not that the knowledge is remembered. The pedagogy is remembered here. So the smritam word brings in the parampara. Really beautiful. It's a nod, it's a salute, salam to the parampara, where you include that and say it's not some kind of a mentation by yourself. You go on a churning spree and you keep churning. What are you doing? I'm churning. What are you doing? I'm churning. Now what are you doing? I'm burning. That's not the whole point. So it's not that you keep churning, meaninglessly. You're churning in your own thoughts. No. Tad Brahma iti smritam. It is remembered by the weight of the parampara, the weight of Guru parampara, sampradaya. The whole thing is brought in here beautifully just by that word smritam, meaning this knowledge has to be gained properly, and the churning is an assisted churning. It's not apne aap whenever you feel like churning. Yeah, that's Shravanam, Mananam and nididhyasanam. First Shravanam, listening, and then any kind of removal of doubt called mentation. Pramanagata samshaya, prameyagata samshaya, all that is removed. And how can the Vedanta be a pramana? Doubt, that is removed. And then what is gained? Ishvara, who is this Ishvara? Prameyagata samshaya. Well, who is this Ishvara? Why should I know this Ishvara? That is removed. So all this is removed and one is safe in this churning. One is not left to drift off like a flotsam and jetsam, even though one's name is Sam, one is not left to float off like that, abandoned. So it is within the rubric of how this knowledge is unfolded and assimilated. Therefore, it is smritam. And what is this Brahman? Nishkalam, Nishchalam. The unmoving thing. Again, one more beautiful, as though paradoxy, that unmoving Brahman, in order to understand, looks like there is a lot of movement happening here. Movement of what? I have to move out, Somebody said today I can't attend the classes because I'm moving. Yeah, so I have to move out. I have to move out what? Boxes of Shabda Maya that hold all those concepts. I have to move it out in order to understand that which was unmoving, which was myself in the first place. That is very beautiful. And so, the last method is similar to the other one, the one we just studied. What was that? The churning of the ghee. So from verse 19 onwards we have, from 18 onwards we have 4 metaphors. Just to see them briefly, just to do this, what is called Simhavalokanam, just to look back. What is there is that 18th one is to throw away the husk and keep the grain, to know what you are after and not get distracted. Okay? And then the other one is the many colored cows giving only the same kind of milk and same colored milk, and so too all the Upanishads with various colorations having ekavakyata, having no contradiction at all. And then we analyze the milk further, just like the ghee is present in the milk but ununderstood, and it's hidden. And so too in every being, the truth of every being is this Bhagavan, this Vijnanam, which is Bhagavan, and this Bhagavan is there. And for that, Satatam means always, until the knowledge takes place, it has to be churned, just like the milk has to be churned to yield the ghee. So too, one has to churn the Upanishads with the help of the stick called the mind. And then lest one may think that this is done on one's own, the next verse comes in and says, Jnana Netram Samadaya. And I told you that there is a pun in Jnana Netram. Jnana Netram is also the name of that kindling, that thread or that little piece of wood or rope that is put there. It is called Jnana Netram. And Jnana Netram is also through the vision of the knowledge, proper knowledge through the parampara. Please bring forth this knowledge like a blazing fire within you, for which the potential is always there. And what is this blazing fire? The knowledge of yourself as Brahman. Tad Brahma Ahamasmi. It is Smritam. This is what is Smritam, understood completely by all the gurus before. And Nishkalam, impartite, Nishchalam, Shantam, free of sorrow, free of pain, free of everything. That is what the whole thing is. And then the last mantra is also very beautiful, and it is what is called, it's a technical term for this, is Phalashruti. Phalashruti means, what am I going to get out of this study? Because without that, who will study, right? If it had ended in verse 21 itself, so what? A big deal. There is milk in the ghee, big deal, You just feel hungry for some milk, that's all, or ghee. Nothing happens. So here, the 22nd verse is what is the fruit of this study. What happens when you study this Upanishad completely? and of course the best is saved for the last. Sarvabhutadhivasam yat
Sarvabhutadhivasam yat
bhuteshu cha vasatyapi
bhuteshu cha vasatyapi
bhuteshu cha vasatyapi
bhuteshu cha vasatyapi
sarvanugrahakarakattvena
sarvanugrahakatvena
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 tadasmyaham vasudevah
tadasmyaham vasudevah
tadasmyaham vasudeva iti.
tadasmyaham vasudeva iti.
Yeah, very beautiful. And again, iterating everything that has been studied in other Upanishads, and a pun on the word vas, to live. So, you look at how many times the word vas or vasa is there. Sarva bhuta adhi vasaha. You know, that which is the source of all existence. And then, bhuteshu cha vasati api. And after being the source of all existence, it did not just remain by itself or sit in a place called heaven, this Bhagavan. In every being, this Bhagavan exists. And sarva anugrahakatvena, because of whose grace, tad aham asmi vasudevah iti, knowledge takes place. I am that Vasudevah. Tad aham asmi iti, knowledge takes place because of whose anugraha. And very beautiful. And who is this Vasudeva? Vasudeva is a synonym of Lord Krishna. And of course the academic seizing upon this Upanishad will say, oh, so it was written in it was written in Dwapara Yuga, Treta Yuga, like they'll make all kinds of things. So it was post Krishna Upanishad, post Mahabharatic in nature. Post Mahabharatic. Thick, that's all. That here it is thick, This, who cares? That's not that. That's just doing disservice to this. Because even in something like Kathopanishad, we hear the phrase Tat Vishnoho Paramam Padam, and of course people grab onto this. Oh, Vishnu. That's not about Vishnu. This pratyaya ishnuch. In grammatically speaking, that means which is the agent of that. V stands for Vyapaka. So the one which is the agent of this pervasion, the one who is the all pervader, is called Vishnu. It doesn't have to do with Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. And here Vasudeva is not Lord Krishna here. That self-shining being, Devaha, that which shines, Dhyotanatmakatvat Devaha. So that, Dhyotanavan, that shining being, which is that consciousness presence, that Satchitananda, that Jnanam here, which is myself, that shining being. And why is it called Vasudeva? Vasati, that which is the indweller of me. That shining being is the indweller of me. That is the light of mine. There is one song, this little light of mine. It's not a little light, it's the only source of light. All other sources of light are little compared to it. It is not, it's not little at all. Yeah. And, this is very beautiful. So the pun on the word was to live. You think you live. We all think, oh, I'm just alive, I'm a Swayambhuhu, I'm self-made, I'm here, I'm everything. No. You just, that indweller, which is you, is Bhagavan. So one lives by Bhagavan's will. That's what it is. Because what is there is Bhagavan with a little, skeleton and body. That's all it is. Some flesh, bones, blood, and this is just the house, and the indweller is called Bhagavan. That is what is Vasudeva, because that indweller brings this sack of flesh, blood and bones to life. No, it's the prana. What is prana? Bhagavan. Prano vai Ishvaraha. So that prana also is Bhagavan. And that prana which brings prana doesn't bring the person to life. The prana only brings the body to life. But that which makes even the prana come alive is Vasudeva. The word Deva is the self-shining one. It's not some celestial sitting somewhere in heaven. And that sitting is not part of our tradition. Made the world, that to he. What happened to she? Died in Jagat birth, childbirth, and then went off somewhere, widower, Bhagavan, with a beard, but formless. And then formless, but widower, went away and then sat somewhere in a place called heaven. And then what did he do? Just went away. The Jagat is anatha, abandoned, orphaned Jagat. This is a very nonsensical view. And it has to be really dismissed from every head, really. That's the only way you can get ahead in Vedanta. You dismiss everything. That's what it is. And so here, Vasati iti Vasudevaha, and that Vasudeva is you alone. Very beautiful. Very, very beautiful. And so, after one dismisses the nonsense, what does one get? Sarva bhutadi vasam yat. And this is again reiterated in the Bhagavad Gita, 6th chapter we find it. I don't have the verse number, probably 29, 30 like that. So, Sarva Bhutadi Vasam Yat, Sarva Bhuteshu Tishtati, and like that, it is the very nice verse is there saying the same thing. In the Ishavasya Upanishad, same thing. Yasta sarvaani bhutan atman evanupashyati sarva bhuteshu chatmanam tato na vijugupsate. Same thing. So it is sarvatma. It is the atma, the I in everything. It is that I, the self in everything, which is everything. And without that I, everything is as good as nothing. Everything is nothing because of that, without that I. And that I, the presence of this Vasudeva makes a thing a thing. In fact, the word vastu in Sanskrit is only used for this. It's only used for Atma. Everything is avastu, non-thing. No, but I have a lot of things, they are non-things. At least I have nothing. Keep it, that's all. Keep this nothing. What else can you say? So, sarva bhutadi vasam yat. And this is easy to say. That, okay, this Bhagavan is in everything. The first one is sarva bhutadi vasam yat, means that which is the abode of all beings, the truth of all beings. No, not that one. Sarva bhuta, look 29. Look at 29. Look at 29 and write it. So, sarva bhutadi vasam yat. Adhivasa means that which is the abode, causeless abode of all beings. So, yes, we are all in Bhagavan, that's kind of nice, comfortable, lulling feeling. Bhagavan is the truth of me. We are all inside Bhagavan. Okay, wonderful. That's only part of the truth. The other truth is, it's not that you are just included in Bhagavan and Bhagavan made you, but you continue to be Bhagavan. Sarva bhuteshu yat tishtati, because tadeva asrijat, tadeva anupravishat. This anupravesha shruti clinches this. Anupravesha means that this creation is not abandoned. It's not that God made the creation and then ran away. Oh my God, what have I done? Oh me God. Yeah, can't say oh my God because it is God. So, oh me, what have I done? And like a child, when the child breaks something or makes a mess, quickly pushes off from there. So like this, Bhagavan pushed off from the universe and went and sat in a place called heaven because he made a big mess with this Jagat. Didn't want to own up, didn't want to face up and didn't want to face up and just left, completely. That's not the point. That point is completely wrong. And so here what are we seeing is Sarva Bhutadivasam Yat Bhuteshu Cha Tishtati. It is there in, continues to be there in every being, taking responsibility for this so-called creation. In fact, creation is nothing but Bhagavan with many different coverings, as though coverings, including the covering in front of my eyes, which doesn't see that this is a covering. So this is what the very duplicitous if I don't understand it. Yeah, that's the one. Sarva Bhutastham Atmanam Sarva Bhutani Cha Atmani Ikshate Yoga Yuktatma Sarvatra Samadarshanaha. Correct, that's the one. So this is Sarva Bhutadivasam. Please understand that which is the truth of everything and that which continues to sustain all beings, which has entered every aspect of creation. And then what? Sarva Anugrahakatvena. Sarva Anugrahakatvena, because of whose, face of grace, whose complete grace, all kinds of grace, I am able to understand Tad Aham Asmi, not Tad Asti. Not Asti Brahma. Asti Brahma is stage 1. Brahma Asti, Kachit, somewhere, something, someone, something is there which is Brahman. But then the next stage is owning it up. Tad Brahma Aham Asmi. So Asti becomes Asmi. That's why it ends in me. It's all about me. It is me. That's why we say Asmi. And so, Tad Brahma Aham Asmi. Here that Brahma is what? Vasudevaha. That Brahman is now converted into Ishvara. How do you convert Brahman into Ishvara? What do you do? Do you have to dress it in some costume? No, Brahman is Ishvara. No, but Brahman is consciousness. Yes, that consciousness is Ishvara. That Ishvara is you. Oh, I am that Ishvara? Yes, but I thought I was just that consciousness. Yeah, that consciousness is Ishvara. Oh, Brahman and Ishvara are synonyms? Synonyms? Yes. Synonymous? Yes. Oh, I didn't know that. That's because that person, whoever says this, has read too many books in academia. That's what it is. That's what happens, Brahman. And all these formulas, Brahman plus Maya is equal to Ishvara. Brahman minus Maya is Brahman. Find one Brahman without Maya and bring it. And then we'll have a talk. Right now, go and find it. If you are able to find it, if you are successful, then I will teach another Upanishad. No, but we'll wait till Maya, because Maya will go away. Maya doesn't go. That's why the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, it's called Aksharam. Even though the word Aksharam is used, Maya is used only for Brahman. Here, Maya is called Aksharam. Why? Because Maya doesn't go. Just like the Jiva doesn't go. As long as the Jiva doesn't go, Maya will not go. Oh, that's too bad. Maya hangs around just for Jiva? Bingo. Exactly. So, but what happens to Jiva in Laya? Jiva goes into a kind of an altered state. What kind of an altered state? No, kind of an as though state of causal state. But that vasanas are clamoring to come out. And when the vasanas come out, all the desires come out and they clamor for an incarnation. Maya says, let me help. She's there. Wherever Ishvara is there, she's also there. She just is sleeping because you are sleeping. Like a mother takes a nap. When the child naps, she cannot sleep other times. So she's sleeping because you are sleeping. As soon as you wake up, even if you turn over, she's up. She's up. Even the desires take a little stretch and turn over and adjust themselves in the bed. She is up and about and she has created for you a body. Maya doesn't go. So you can't wait to have pure consciousness. Better make peace with Vasudeva. Yes, because Vasudeva is called Vasudeva because he is here to stay. The one who stays is called Vasudeva, the one who never leaves. Oh, that includes Maya? Yes. Maya is Ishvara. Oh, is Ishvara Maya? No. How can that be? That's how it is. Maya is Kalpita Shakti of Bhagavan. Kalpita Shakti. And as though